Okay, this section we're going to be looking at is the jury settings. So I'm going to come over here and select the online jury settings, and we'll look at a few of these settings. Now the first thing we come here is a jury end date, and this is maybe an optional setting, but if you enter in a jury end date here, by default this is sent to your users when they enter a submission in the email template, which we'll look at in the next video. But when a user enters a submission, they'll get an email that says thank you for your submission along with their submission details. And it would say something like, you can expect the jury process to end by, and then this date, to kind of give your users an idea of when they can expect to hear back whether their submissions were juried in or juried out. Now this hide user details from jurors is a toggle that will make the jury process more anonymous for your jurors when they're going through and judging your submissions. So we'll look at this toggle here in just a second. Now, underneath the jury settings, you'll see there's a little sub toggle here, and there's two settings under here that the administration user would use. Now, because the jury process is probably the most complex and powerful part of the online submission system, I'll take a few minutes to explain each of these. Now, the first setting here is called Mark All Submissions in Category, and then you're allowed to choose one of the categories based on what you've set up down here as juried in or juried out, with an average jury rating greater than or lesser than a specific value. Once you've marked all of your submissions, then you can go ahead and notify the users of that status. So you can select the notify users, and you can say send the juried in notification email to all the users who have then been marked as juried in. So as soon as I press send jury or send notification emails, each one of the users that has a submission that has been juried in would receive an email notifying them of that change. And then in that email, you can, of course, put any other specific instructions that are needed at that point. And then the same thing, I can select the juried out and hit send, and this would send an email to all of the users who have submissions that did not make it past the jury, and would then notify them, and you can have instructions in that email as well. Now, I'm going to go ahead and log in as a jury user at this point, and we'll look at how these jury settings reflect the jury user. So I'm going to switch over here to the other browser, and I will log out of the user account here that I've logged into, and I will log into the jury account. So I'll just quickly log in here. Oops, I got that password wrong. Okay, now when a juror user logs into this system, this is the view that they're presented with. Let's close this prompt that's popping up there down. Now the juror users by default see all of the submissions that have been submitted to your specific call. So you can see that there is a listing of the submissions here, and you can see by default they do see the first name and the last name column, which would then allow them to associate, of course, each submission with a particular user. If you want to make the jury anonymous, I would log in as the admin, of course, come to the online jury settings, click the edit button and say hide user details from jurors, and then go ahead and update my settings. Now if I step back here and refresh, again I'm logged in as the juror. Now you can see the first name and the last name column are gone, and all I see is the category, the images, the date that was submitted, and then any additional details such as the title and things like that that have been set up. So the juror would see the submission, and they can click on the submission and see the medium view. Each submission that's submitted into the system gets thumbnailed into 3 views. There's a thumbnail, there's the medium, and there's also a large full resolution version of the image as well, which could be used for print. So they can see the submissions, and users can submit multiple submissions. So if the user had attached more than one image, they would be listed here as well. And then they simply just go through these, and it's a simple star rating, 1 through 5. You can set up 1 juror user, you can set up 15 jurors, as many jurors or as few as you need, you can set up for your particular call. Now I'm just going to go ahead and mark this submission with a 3-star rating. So I'll select 3-star. I can also, as a juror, add an optional note. So I'll just say optional note here. And then I'll just go ahead and submit my jury rating. As soon as I submit this rating, that one will disappear, and I'm on to my next one. Now notice I'm only showing myself right now pending submissions. So as soon as I submit a rating, it goes down under here into the all submissions category. So this is a convenient way to only show kind of your pending submissions that you need to jury. Now now that I've entered that vote, I'm actually gonna go click on all submissions so I can see that vote. Now you can see now on this particular submission, it says that one juror user has voted on this. If there were 3 other users that had also voted, this number would be 3 or 4. It shows me the average vote. So right now the average rating between all jurors is 3. And if I hover over this history, it will show me exactly which jurors voted and what their star rating was. There's the jury note and then the date and timestamp of the actual vote. So your jurors can kind of see the history of how this particular submission has been juried. And then also jurors can filter by submission category or submission media. So if I'm a juror and I'm a photographer and I'm not going to be jurying the fine art or maybe graphic design, I can just simply select the photography category and it will only show me submissions that are entered into the photography category. Or I can select inside of here maybe the fine art category, and this will show me all fine art submissions, 3D design, or you can click the little drop down here and filter by media. So I can say show me only 3D design that are in the ceramic media, and this will only show me those particular entries, or maybe the glass entry. So this feature over here allowing you to sort of filter the submissions by category or media is really a handy feature to kind of tie down your submissions. So that's kind of the jury view and how a juror would juror in the system. In the next tutorial, we'll kind of look at the templates and how those relate to these particular settings. Now, one note is that the juror's role within your call is simply to mark the submissions as far as quality. So they don't actually jury them in or jury them out per se. They simply vote on the quality of submission. And then the administration role would then look at all of the submissions and mark them in or out, again, according to whatever value they choose. And they can sort by average and kind of determine which ones they want to jury in or jury out. So the juror users simply vote.